Ukrainian military intelligence has released another intercepted phone call in which a Russian commander is heard ordering his troops to open fire on fellow Russian soldier. In the recording, the commander is heard saying, "He will open his mouth at home, but here let him shut his mouth and follow orders. If he refuses completely, then shoot him in the arm, in the leg. Neutralize him. Did you hear what I just told you?" it adds. The intercepted communication was published by the I Want to Live. According to Kiev Post, in the recording the person also used the term zeroed out, a term used in Russian military slang to refer to the killing or crippling of their own comrades. The I Want to Live initiative, in its Telegram update, suggested the incident as part of a broader pattern of internal repression within the Russian military. Any manifestation of adequacy is considered disobedience and is punishable by execution, the project alleged. The project also mocked the Russian military for openly broadcasting the order via radio, the reason for its interception by the Ukrainian military, suggesting to potential Russian deserters that Moscow's military command has no regard for their well-being. An order to reset a fellow serviceman by a Russian commander in the open air without registration or SMS. If anyone still thinks that the Russian armed forces are somehow hiding this, then here is another proof of the opposite, the update says. The I Want to Live project was launched in September 2022. Its goal is to help willing Russian servicemen safely surrender to Ukrainian captivity and save their lives. In case of surrender, the project guarantees detention in accordance with the Geneva Conventions. In addition, such Russians are also guaranteed that they will not be exchanged or returned to the Russian Federation if they wish. If a Russian registers with I Want to Live in advance, the Ukrainian side registers him as having been captured in combat, meaning that he receives payments and status in Russia.
Russian Z-patriots, most of whom are also rabid xenophobes, have a new grand betrayal. The 17-year-old son of the head of Chechnya Ramzan Kadyrov, Adam, has distinguished himself with a new prank. The scandal arose because of a video recently published by former Smolensk City Council deputy and participant in the aggression against Ukraine, Maxim Baranov. In the video, Baranov runs next to a car driven by 17-year-old Adam Kadirov. This event occurred during tests for the right to wear a maroon beret. This humiliating episode caused a stormy reaction in pro-war circles. The author of the channel Hammer of Justice Z did not hide his anger. Another video humiliating Russians with the participation of Chechens has appeared on social networks. In the video, Deputy Baranov, like a servant, runs after a car driven by underage Adam Kadyrov. He was echoed by Z-blogger Alexei Zivov, sarcastically noting, "Everything in this video is so wonderful that there is no need to even comment on anything." They write that former Smolensk deputy Baranov is running after Adam Kadyrov's car. Baranov's attempts to justify himself look pathetic and unconvincing. In a comment to Russian media, he said that he ran not after Kadyrov's car, but next to it, explaining this by his desire to quickly cover the distance during the tests for the right to wear a maroon beret. His words about the comfortable pace and conversation that allegedly began with the young Kadyrov only emphasize the absurdity of the situation and the deep humiliation of the Russian official forced to serve the son of a regional autocrat. This incident highlights not only the servility of the Russian elite to the Chechen Kadyrov clan, but also the cynicism of the entire Russian propaganda machine. Those same Z-bloggers who call for the greatness of Russia and patriotism are forced to watch and comment on such scenes, demonstrating deep social inequality and the actual lack of rights, even for government officials in the face of the Kadyrov vertical. It is noteworthy that Adam Kadyrov, despite his young age, has already managed to receive a number of high awards from the Russian authorities, which testifies to his special position and influence. Against the backdrop of media reports about the serious illness of his father Ramzan Kadyrov, there are increasingly frequent suggestions that it is the junior who is preparing to become his successor. The story of the fleeing deputy Baranov is not just a curious incident. It is a vivid illustration of a deep systematic problem in Russia, where humiliation is becoming the norm and imperial ambitions coexist with a complete lack of self-esteem among representatives of the so-called ruling elite. While Russian soldiers are dying on Ukrainian soil for the delirious ideas of the Russian world, their former party colleagues are forced to run after the cars of teenagers who are vested with power only because of their origin. Ukrainian military expert Ivan Kirichevsky says Ukraine's military intelligence HUR acted preemptively, so Russia had no reason to launch a Yars missile. In fact, there was no Yars missile launch. It's possible that in this case, the HUR acted ahead of time, and that's precisely why the Russians saw no point in proceeding. The very fact that HUR issued such a warning is highly significant. Under normal circumstances, there is a communication line between the Americans and the Russians through which they notify each other 24 hours in advance about launches of this kind. Kirichevsky noted on Espresso TV. According to the military expert, it appears that Russia was indeed preparing a provocation, potentially one that could have threatened not only Europe, but the United States as well. After all, the Yars is a missile with a range of up to 10,000 kilometers, and it's not about Europe, it's about the US. So it's possible that, thanks to this warning from HUR, something far more serious than a mere provocation against Europe and the US was averted. Kirichevsky added, despite the fact that Russia planned on May the 19th to carry out a training and combat launch of RS-24 Yars intercontinental ballistic missile, everything indicated that this launch of the missile, which is a weighty argument of the Kremlin in its confrontation with the West, did not take place. Let us recall that according to the defense intelligence of the Ministry of Defense, the launch area for the launch of this missile was the most atypical. In the Sverdlovsk region, near the settlement of Svobodny, it is there that the 433rd Regiment of the 42nd Division of the 31st Army of the Russian Strategic Missile Forces is based. This launch area is located just 25 kilometers from Nizhny Tagil. Why the Russians did not launch this time remains unknown. After all, in 2023, the Russians failed to successfully launch the RS-24 Yars ICBM twice in a row. They went off course. After all, any missile undergoes a pre-flight check, during which some shortcomings can be identified that could prevent the decision to launch the missile this time. It should be remembered that at the moment, before the negotiations between Putin and Trump, which were announced the day before, the Kremlin is unlikely to be interested in showing the incapacity of its so-called strategic nuclear forces. It is also not possible to exclude the possibility of an emergency situation during the first stage of the flight immediately after launch, despite the fact that the RS-24 Yars ICBM is a deep modernization of the RT-2P-M2 Topol M ICBM. There is always a risk of failure of some components and systems of the missile.